Chapter 27. Who doesn't trust to own self doesn't trust anyone at all. After plenty of words, Vlada lost control over himself. Do you listen what am I telling about? That morning wasn't his. Everywhere lies. How you would feel if something like that happened to you. Old man was on the corner of the cry. I can't explain what happened, but whatever we do or whatever we want, only what is important could be. That we have to use on the good situation, and they are interesting, don't you think? The old man was confirmed how life is beautiful no matter what. Where all that hate came from. Before, yes, before it was different, but now we didn't fight for something for idols, and these days what I could recognize is hate and not noble battle or struggle, whatever. Sad man couldn't hide his disappointed. See, he shows a pictures all over the table. I tried to find myself through the looks. I started to forget who I was and what I did. I'm different on bad way. Vlada stood up and went to the window. It was a cold morning. He understood now. I want you to prove yourself as it was once before. Vlada's breath left a foggy lead on the frozen glass. So you are not here to see an old friend. Vlada slowly turned direction to the direction from where voice came from. Of course, he felt unpleasant. Yes, but the interest is on the first place, as these days is modern. His friend didn't understand him. Yes, but I'm here to help you and me. His friend was right. Everything was because of interest. I'm joking. Let me first to prepare us a coffee. Then we'll talk about everything. That's why friends for. Before Vlada said something, the other one left the room. We are too old. Who will listen us? Two losers who didn't have a power to save the best. Everything seems unbelievable to both of them. It is not me or you who have to finish with a bad past because of our children. You don't think that we have to allow those evil to destroy their life as it did with ours. Vlada made up his mind and even with his confusion didn't want to give up. I know. Vlada raised his hands after his friend came back inside the room, but he didn't see the shadow of a woman behind him. Yes, it is time that serious thoughts left me a long time ago, that everything now seems as a joke. But, my granddaughter, I'm afraid that something could happen, and I am afraid even that is not my style. He really was worried. That is good. The other one started to laugh. That is good because you are going back to the youth. Something important will come from this. Vlada looked at his well-known person, but he still didn't note the shadow behind. Chapter 28. "Stop pressing me too hard," Diamond shouted. "I'm not someone who is used to this situation. I learned how to play piano. Language, art, history, not comparing with dark work or job." Now her reaction was nearly hysteric. "Do you know where Holy Spirit is?" She took a deep breath and put her hand on the heart. "Here, not in some place that we want it to be. It is here, inside of us." At that moment, every possible reaction turned into a bitter cry. "I'm going to tell you what is your problem." Oleg was a little bit rude than that used to suit it to his personality. "You are too far, indeed, into your imagination. Nothing and no one will make this problem except you. Do not find a way to set it by yourself. You have to be ready on everything." He finished. "But life doesn't have sense if do not fight or at least try for something." She didn't want to give up. "Yes, but why do you think that your opinion is better than others?" Now she understood him. But it hurts," Dominic explained. "That is mean only one thing. You are not having the same thinking around you, or you are not able to live by yourself." She looked at him. "Try to travel through the history without emotions." Oleg turned off the lights and went out of the room. It is easy for him to think that way. He is not in my position. Dominic continued to talk with walls. Chapter 29. "How are you feeling?" Next morning asked Oleg Dominic and gave her a cup of hot tea. "I want to sleep. I want to pass over everything," she answered with a sleepy voice. "I see you are not better," was Oleg's conclude, "and I hope." He was sad. Dominic didn't move to continue to look smell hot water in the cup. "Anyway, when you'll finish this, go and prepare yourself, because we have meeting downstairs in half an hour." It was more order. Dominic didn't know how she stood up from the bed after Oleg left. It was cold, but her curiosity started to be more stronger than feelings. Why we always have to think about the dark side of a life? Is it because of fear or because that we enjoy it? That was the first word Dominic heard when she stepped inside of the half-dark room. "I sometimes have a feeling how my opinion is not too realistic because there are too many things in what we could enjoy, but—" Young girl who was telling a speech stopped for the second. "My attitude doesn't allow me to be happy." "What is it?" She sounds strange, but it seems to everyone in the room that everything what she was telling could be understandable. May I say something? The other student stood up. Yes, Professor, gave a permission shortly after what young man turned to the girl. It is not a fear. It is not the enjoy. It is responsibility which we got from the moment when our childhood has to be faced with way of literature by teachers. The best way of everything is to accept situation as a joke. My friend taught me that, and believe me, it is better. It sounds unbelievable, but as a good idea. Responsibility. After a break of silent voice came from the place where Professor was sitting. It is good if everything walk up responsibility, but it is more serious than you think. People who passed through that time were exposed to the hard, not the described suffer. So, how much we try to make suffer stories, it simply was not possible. He tried to close everything what and how really was the way of living in those days. But the only thing what was over the fight for survive was to learn something of it, to find a way how to step deep into the history, and if it is possible to be a part of it. Professor turned his back to students, and his look gave impression more old man than he really was. Do you believe in the state machine anywhere? Do you love it? Before anyone had time to give an answer, he gave his opinion. No, of course, not only if it is short, but when you met a person with every possible shape which life gave us, then you can't be not impressed. As with art. Art is something what we can't put in border. And I personally think how all other subjects are living material which asks change. But when we are thinking about a people who has the same opinion, then that is something about what we have to think. Was that opinion something what law asked from us, or that is something what was order, or something what we learn? And do we love it, or we do it because we must? Do we must to follow a line? What do you think? Now he turned to the students. I'll tell you, we have to judge. Does something destroy other life? If it does, we have to be careful. Sometimes we do something because we want to be nice or to make someone happy. Don't you think that this is the best? It was a silence in the room. Where is the problem? Still, there's no answer in the room. Do not take it wrong, please. One of the listeners decided to apply to the others. But what you have just said sound so normal, he explained. It is sound, but why is it not happening? I'll tell you. Professor, across over faces of everyone present so was there any reaction because we do need to feel it. Professor sound more than sensitive as he wanted to reach to young people minds. Yes, and what now? It was possible to show how faces of students had lines of confusion. What now? I'm not sure. Do we have a problem with terrorists or with organized legal units? Said Professor. Whatever. It was they did the act of terrorism, explained student. That is responsible, but we have to know with who we go dealing, with what their interests are, and how to stand against it and them. So, only what am I asking from you is to stay normal and concentrate careful, please. Every morning at the same time we will have meeting as this one today was. If anyone will find out something important, please come to me at once. Don't do anything before you have conversation with me. I don't want that any one of us become involved with police problem. That was the end of meeting. It was serious, more than I expected. Short said it Oleg on the end during Dominic and he were leaving a room. Chapter 30. Dominic didn't have an idea where everyone left, probably to find something. But that something, what was it? Deep in her thoughts, she didn't realize that she missed the floor where her room was. But when one of the stairs made a strange sound after she stepped on it, Dominic found out how was standing in front of the old wood door, just half up the floor where she should stop. Instead to turn back, young girl's curiosity, which was stronger than realistic thoughts, made her to go further. Young girl felt that something different could be behind those old wood door. Because of fear, Dominic started to breathe very fast. Before she touched the door, try to put in order her thoughts. It was hard than ever, and time was short. After a few moments that seemed to be as on a long day, she slowly, hard than ever, pushed the door. The air had strange smell, and it was obviously that no one didn't step in those places for a time. It wasn't completely dark inside. Small window with dust everywhere on the glass. Allow a little bit of daily light to enter inside. I expected more from the life, Dominic said for herself. Just act as nothing happened. She continued to speak with her own self because wanted to remove a fear which was everywhere around her. She missed her grandfather. He likes the places like this, old rooms full of mystery. from the past where it was possible to smell dangerous mixed with love and noble fights. Maybe overreacting or habit after long years or too many of war or stories about it. But there in that truth was that kind of smell. Through the small, clean, like Dominic succeeds to walk and stop in front of old bed with kind of good all over it. She slowly took one of it and opened. Her attention paid few letters and old, very old piece of material with just two capital letters on it, MP, as her fingers were burned. She dropped it. In the first moment she wanted to run away, but at the last one, has look stop on the date, which was on the already yellow and old envelope. Year was 1945. Her reaction were faster than her thoughts. She took it. Chapter 21. What do you know about the history of the hotel? Dominic asked Diamond 2 hours after discovery. Diamond was sitting next to her in the small church and with his look in front of him. Not too much, but I heard how it was a very important family. They had good but also a bad times, was his answer. Is that all? Where are they now? Dominic didn't want to give up. He should know more. At least he was also some relatives from that place. I think that it is better if you ask Oleg about this. He should knows more. It was some kind of the important note in his advice. How more death has to be before evil stop. People should have friends. People are here to help each other. Dominic sounded as in that moment she realized what kind of dangerous was around her. It is a miserable. Everything was cowardly. Everyone who can't give love, kindness, help, understand is coward. Nothing less, nothing more. Miserably coward. She was so angry that she can't recognize herself. Fear that we could make mistakes and the most situation by our revolt reaction always is present. I know one thing many people during the war and later also militants mobilization try to find a way how to fight against it with avoiding, with visiting doctors, especially psychiatrists and cardiologists and everything, what could stop the killings between their own brothers and friends and through every culture possibilities. It was hard and it was too much pressure. Dominic was surprised when Diamond started to speak. Hard time, fear and confusion because of what to say and what not. Was that what was going on was right or wrong? None knew. But humanity was on the first place. Hard decision. That was everything what I know about those times. It is fresh even time passed. So people doesn't like to talk about it. Be careful. I heard how everything what we said could be recorded. Something sometimes may use against us. Diamond's voice was low as he had been afraid how some could hurt him. Anyway, where all this came from, Diamond's question was surprised. I will explain you later. First, I have to find out something more about the history of this place and family who built that hotel. But please don't say anything to Oleg, at least not for now. Not yet. Dominic really sounded very mysterious. Whatever you say. Diamond knew that wasn't useful to ask anything more. There wasn't anyone on the street in front of church. It was some kind of strange mind circling around two young people. Chapter 22. Moving from shop to the another one, with old books about the history of the city, Dominic started to lose hope how she could find anything what was important in that moment. After a few hours of walk on the cold, windy weather, where it was hard even to think, she decided to stop in some small cafe to get something what could help her to get warm. It was nice place in the Hungary style. She saw a place on the corner of it and waited for someone to serve her. Excuse me, may I sit here, young lady? Dominic looked at the man who stopped in front of her. He was a man in age. At the first moment she tried to remember did they met before, but her memory didn't has her. Yes, of course, she answered. Any company was better than anything else. Why are you so worried, young lady? Dominic was coughed. He sounded as her grandfather. I'm sad, worry. Yes, but sad, she quickly came upon. Sad? Is that a reason for that? Old man was very sympathetic. Look at me. What do you see? One old man who survived lots of bad things, and do you know how with plenty of optimism. Believe me, you don't have reasons to be sad. Life is in front of you. Dominic carefully was listening to him. You have to remove important away from the not important. It sounds so simply. With gently eyes, she looked at an old man. I have to tell you something. Everything when I have some kind of problem, usually people like you help me. The man removed his hat. My friend, you have to take care from the people. That is a fact. But sometimes strangers could be the better friends than anyone who is or you think should be close to you. Explained. Yes, it happened to me. I'd grown up with my grandfather. He was the only one by relatives because the other one didn't be useful. I'm sorry to say something like that. I feel shame. Bit by bit, but two of them were having conversation as they have been friends forever. It is nice when someone thinks about you and helps no matter what. Dominic sounded as someone who never got help or as someone who desperately needed. My dear, where and what kind of problem you have? Maybe I could help you somehow. She was great for that kind of question, what her new friend made. Well, she started, but she didn't want to ruin friendship with too much questions. And they were so important to her at that moment. Yes, he waited for Dominic to continue. Well, she started again. I don't know how to explain everything what I am feeling now. I would like to be in love, but I don't know how and where my love is. I do know how love looks like, but I don't know when will happen. I know I have some horrible and nearly terrified thoughts, how something is not natural, something more as a plan by people, if I could call them that way. Or to stop everything, it is stupid to talk about it. When you do not have a proof, hate, too much hate around. Dominic made her express on a face as she wanted to get rid of those thoughts. And you think that is appropriated to some special group of people? It was a new question by an old man. She looked at him with surprise. I know that feeling. He noted her reaction. My dear, the important thing is the aware of mature. But I'm not telling you about social consequences or close class one. First of all, I'm telling you about the mature of individual. We have to come to that point when everyone could find the real person inside. The woman with poor clothes stopped next to their table with hands full of flowers. She said something on Hungarian and gave a flower to the old man, then turned to the Dominic with great smile. She said something again, but Dominic still didn't understand. Anyway, Dominic nodded with her head and woman slowly walked away, where from every move was possible to recognize the far spirit memory. Do you afraid of? Thankless, my sweet lady. Dominic took a flower from her friend's hand. Yes, of illness, terror, and of course, of the betrayed by a friend. She took his question meaning by that. If you want to find out more about this area, you should stay for some time here and start a look with you are interesting for. The best thing is to find some easy job as helping in the family with children. They could teach you about the tradition and anything else. It was a good suggestion, but it was possible for Dominic to recognize such a thing. Anyway, what do you do in the free time? Have you got some kind of the holiday? She pushed her nose deeper in the flour to feel the smell, but her thoughts were concentrated on his words that she didn't feel anything. Me? I write poems, was the offended answer. What kind? A politic or other ones? The old man had been delighted when he heard what his young friend was doing. No, they are love one, but they all, or I try to comprise everything a little. About politics, love, tradition, and social life with all the modern expression. She explained as short as possible. Nice, but I'm afraid that something like that is not enough for the noble fight for the truth, as one is. What are you doing for? I want you to meet a friend of mine, and he needs someone as you are to replace him, a granddaughter, twice a week and only in the afternoon. I think that you could make it because your group will stay for a while, as I heard. He stopped for a moment because he realized that explanation by him was over a line and too much. But Dominic didn't show any reaction, even that she noted in the second how this man knew more than she said. When he left the address on the table and went out through the doors of cafe, Dominic didn't feel any fear, but she stood on the place for more than half an hour with only one question. Who is that sweet and kind, nice old man? Why she? Did they find out about a professor's friend? But what did she has with it? Maybe her family's history. Question after question, without an answer. Chapter 23. The connection are too strong, and friendship are so huge, and grateful thoughts are so important, that can't make me to start hate my family's opinion. It was like that and will be forever. I could say some critics, but not to clean everything. Dominic was nearly hysteric. I understand you, but Oleg was trying to explain her something. You are thinking as fanatic. You should be more open. Dominic was shocked. I have right on my opinion, don't you think? She really was insulted. She wanted to told him about the man from the cafe, but after what he said changed her mind. Maybe it was better to kept everything for herself. You see, different between you and me is that how I respect everyone's mind and opinion, and that everyone has free will to do as to create life as it seems to be on their way, not to control as you want everyone to think, as you, and if it is not on your way, what you will do. What you will do hate a person. Yes, maybe you have right to hate, but not to destroy or control. She was very upset. After those words, she left the room and with run went out on the cold snow day. Dominic couldn't believe how her friends were so hard and cruel. Chapter 24. What makes people to be such an evil person? The disappointment, revenge, fear, maybe rudeness. What? Dominic was out of herself. Could you make a difference between a saint and devil? Because how much I'm trying, I don't understand. I don't understand even that I learn so much. Even that I'm trying so hard. Help me. She asked two friends of hers so desperately that those two were starting to become afraid. No one knows the difference. That is the point before it happened, in front of your eyes or feeling. Until then, you have to be careful. Diamond really felt sorry because of his friend. She seems to be lost. I don't know. Probably everything is a destiny. Finally, she agreed with that opinion. Terror over someone who is close relative because of revenge, blackmail, or just because of someone's sadistic face. Under that meaning is how terrorists are making themselves as victims or their families spooners to get glory or sympathy and use the moment as perfect time for reckoning with those who they don't like to do or like to realize, accomplish their interests. So it could be hard to recognize good from bad. And again, the innocent people are victims. It was too many questions, but also she was so sick and tired to look after the explanation. Memories. If we don't have them, maybe everything would be much easier. She sat across the diamond and Alec was walking around. Don't be on the end of a heart. Memories could bring the fortune if you know how to use it or how to recognize that. Why we always write stories in the past? Because to put the point on memories. Oleg was over her head as he wanted her to carefully remember every word that he said. And she did. He was right, and she knew, but still lots of bad things and pain wanted her soul to run away from everything as a person who didn't want to look self into reflection of the mirror because of opinion that hadn't been look nice and good. Only someone who is in love with own self can make everything right and thinks how nothing is wrong on the inside of own self. I don't think that I am perfect, but I react when something is not suited with myself or with something that I learned about. She didn't want to give up. Anyway, I don't know how to react, said with low voice. First of all, we are playing for our own life. In humiliation, everywhere, equality of rights, doesn't present every generation has look on the end of own family. No children, no place for their one on this world. Dominic was talking and talking. Dominic, everything what happened you only heard. But we are still fighting with huge dangers for freedom. Oleg sounded disappointed. I thought that you are more brave. He turned to Diamond. He wanted to help. At least what he needed was to hurt Dominic. She was very weak as a small girl. The enemies are not necessary, but we still are, unfortunately, said Diamond. He knew that his answer, that wasn't comfortable. Listen, the best thing is to laugh. To know how to laugh means how to be wise. He kissed Dominic. In any other time, she would be absolutely out of herself because of happiness. But now she was frozen. You will be sorry later, he said slowly and left the room. The sadness, the emptiness, the unuseful feelings was so strong and present that he couldn't stand that. Where is my mistake? Where was it, or was it? Dominic whispered with note of despair, fear of doubtfulness expounded more than ever. What do you think? Started Dominic after a moment of silence. The attack from the back? No, expected. It is hard to recognize good from bad, and again, on the end, innocent are losers. Everyone in the room knew that those were rights and perfect truth words. The question was what to do next.